So this video is going to show how these two tabs, the schedule pull do not edit and the groups do not edit, will work together to automatically populate the room assignment locations for the students as teachers input data. So these two tabs will stay hidden. They will work in the background. You should not need to access them unless some major changes need to occur. But once you've made your schedule into this tab, it's going to automatically update. So the formulas at the top here from this table that you've copied and pasted into these cells are very basic referential formulas. We're going to go over our reference tab more later, but I wanted to show it to you now. It's here. So you can see this formula references that tab, reference do not edit tab, and it looks at this specific cell. So if we click on this tab, it's referencing these cells here. So that was L5. So this is also referenced and copied automatically from another tab. But again, we'll go over that more later. Now, the groups do not edit tab is one that is a little more advanced. You should not have to change it, but I wanted to go through one section at a time so you can see how this tab works. First, the purpose of this tab is for each group to be sorted. So this part pulls all of the students that are assigned to group A and lists their names here. And if you change a student's group on your week tab, so if you change a student from group A by typing in a different letter here, their name will no longer appear in group A. It will show up somewhere else. So we'll start with that formula. So first, this is an array formula. And what that means is it creates a matrix of data based on certain criteria. So it references that reference do not edit sheet, and it looks for the group that we've named in cell B1 on this current sheet. And cell B1 for us is group A, right here. So it's looking for group A in the reference do not edit sheet, column A. So that's going to create a table of any time that A, the value A, shows up in the first column in the reference tab. Then we use the small formula, and it finds the first time that group is A, and it returns the second value. That's what this 2 means. So that means in the array, the second value would be the adjacent column. And in our array from this data range, the second column is the students' names. So we have the first time that group A, the student name in the first entry would be student 1. But I don't want just student 1 over and over. I don't want to duplicate that. So I've also included the row formula. And what that does is I've said I only want this row. So from row 1 to row 1. So in row 1 to row 1, it would be only the first row. So if we look at the next one, for the second row, I've changed it to row 2. So I'm only looking at row 2 here. So changing it means if I'm only looking at row 2, then the small formula will return row 2 only because that's the smallest row that I'm looking at. And so in that same pattern, we can go all the way down to any number. So even row 29 would be the 29th time that group A shows up, and giving me column 2, which would be the student name. So basically this creates a list in order of the first through the 33rd time that group A shows up. And for our example, group A only shows up 30 times. If we added a student to group A, they would show up here. So let's go to student 31 and let's change their group from group B to group A and see how that change is reflected here. So I'm on the week 1 column and I'm changing student 31 from group B to group A just by typing in an A and hitting enter. And then I'm going to go back to the Groups Do Not Edit tab and see that change take effect. So now I see that student 31 is now in group A and they are no longer in group B. The first student listed in group B is student 32. The daily location assignment uses a much simpler formula. So the daily location assignment uses a much simpler formula. It does a vertical lookup, checking for the current week, which is listed on the reference tab. So in this cell, it's going to say week 1. So in reference do not edit tab, cell B1, it's going to say the words week 1. So we can check that. So on this tab in B1, it says week 1 right now. So let's go back and figure out the rest of this formula. So it's going to look up the phrase week 1 in this schedule tab that we've edited. And it's going to look for that in the range B9 to G44, which is our group A range. And it's going to return the second value in that range. So going to the schedule tab, looking up week 1, it's going to show here. And the second value in that range is Social Studies room 107, which is what it's returning. So then for Tuesday, I want the third column, and Wednesday will be the fourth column, etc. The rest of the groups are the same formulas. So if we scroll down to group B, it's using the same formula except the range is different. So on my schedule tab, I'm going to start with B47, which if we scroll down on our schedule tab, that's starting group B. So it's still going to look for week 1, but it's going to give these values instead. So it should be room 201 for the whole week, and it is. Now on the reference do not edit tab, right now B1 says week 1, but I will show you in a new video or in another video how we can change that value to say week 2, and that will change this pull. So instead it will look up week 2 and it will give these values. So by having this groups tab update automatically, we can reference these cells in our teacher tabs, which again I'll show you how to set up later, and it will automatically reflect those changes on those tabs as well.